Dating to marry is very problematic. Yes, you heard me. I find it very problematic, and it's not a matter of personal preference. It's actually very problematic, and I'll be trying to prove it to you in this short discourse. Stay with me. A few weeks ago, I received a call from a friend. They had reached out to me that they needed to my insights and my perspective on a matter. Apparently, they had been trying to ask a girl out, a girl they liked. They've been talking together, talking stage kind of thing, and he said from very get go he had always expressed his intentions. That his intentions were clear and straight from very beginning. I would like to marry you. I'd like to marry you. Don't worry, I'm not laughing at them. I'm just laughing at. I'd like to marry you kind of intentions. And I actually I've forgotten how it went, but it was like after a while, the girl too seemed enthusiastic, seemed like she was also into even if she's not into the guy, but into the conversation, to the relations or the relationship at the time. He had even got to the point where he knew about the girls, some of the members of the girl's family, some of her cousins or sister, older sister, whatever, mother, and all of that. But suddenly, the energy from the girl started to reduce, especially when he had formally, asked her out. And initially she said she'd get back to him. Then that normal, I'll get back to you now. Where this is within the parameters of Christian dating, as it were. So these people are Christians, and it's from that I'll be, giving my discourse. So after he made his intentions clear, which actually had been clear from the very beginning, the energy from her started to dwindle, and he wasn't sure whether that was a sign. It was like a kind of, let me call this female friend, especially because I believe that she has insights as to these matters. So let me find out from her whether it's a sign that I should move on, or maybe she's just trying to take her time and all of that. And eventually, by the time I started the conversation with him, I was able to deduce that there's a particular notion, or actually it's a religious notion, that has been imbued into us as a result of our spiritual leaders and people who are at the aim of giving us advice when it comes to relationship matters. And they've erroneously sold this idea to us that you date to marry. You get like you are dating to marry. When you approach a lady, or when a lady is being approached, the end goal of the relationship is marriage, ought to be marriage, and all of that. Nothing more, nothing less. Marriage as a goal, marriage as a destination. You understand? Lord, okay, at surface level, there's nothing wrong with that. However, it's important that when 2026, we should be having some very high level intelligent conversations. Do you know? And our actions should, at this point, should stem from some high level intelligent understanding, of certain matters. It's interesting that 2026, we don't get that relationship matters are first of all purely human affairs. Yes, it's purely human affairs, And by that I mean that if you think of a human being, as a human being is a human being, right? I'm looking at this leg like in front of me. A person with their own will, with their own interests, with their own desires, with their own traumas. Yeah. I mean, they already, to an extent, they've lived on the earth for a certain period of time, and there's been, give or take, there's been going to be some baggages and beatings that life must have dealt with them, either at childhood, usually at childhood level, or acquaintanceship, when you are relating with other people. So with their traumas, all right, with their already mentioned desires, with their preferences, this is how I like my things to be. This is how I like my person to be. This is how I like my friendships to be. This is the kind of person I like. Do you get? And it doesn't make anybody less of a person having their own desires, their own wants, their own preferences. Does not make them any less of, I don't know, a person. And especially within the context of religion or spirituality, it doesn't make them any less of a born again or a true child of God. No. Okay. And these are the factors that are usually at play when one person comes to start to relate closely with another person, and so it becomes a mix, an interweave of wants, an interweave of desires, or a clash perhaps of desires, of preferences, of style, of looks, of appearances. Do you understand? And so I don't like the fact that religion has made us think about relationship as one esoteric thing, as one, something as like that religious belief that God is the orchestrator and the manipulator and at the base of everything, including relationship. Yes, God is at the center of everything, every concept, every idea, every matter, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that he is the orchestrator of and the manipulator of such matter. So in relationships, we have been sold this religious idea that God is the orchestrator of it. So you as a person do not matter as much. You get that's wrong. That's wrong. It's not going to help you live with that person. Not because God will follow you to sleep with the person in bed or be interacting with the person. Do you understand? God is not the one interacting with that person, it's you. And so everything about you is at play and should be looked at and should be considered and should be put first. Do you get where I'm coming from? Yeah. So human relationships are purely human affairs. Understand that, please. Don't let any pastor go you. Don't let anybody go. Don't let any religious leader, pastor, mom. Don't let them go you. I'm begging you because they are the one that will suffer. I'm telling you, they will keep on using you. I mean, your story, your as experiments. I don't like that a lot of humans have been subjected to experiments. It's you may suffer. I don't really like that, but you get what I'm saying. Understand me? And so, therefore, flowing from this premise I'm building on, the concept of God choosing his spouse for you is also erroneous. It doesn't make sense. Do you get? It makes sense that a religious mind will think of it. Like I said, the religious mind tells you that God is the orchestrator and the manipulator of everything, right? Not necessarily so. Oh, okay, so that person that defrauded you, that broke your heart last year, is it God that did it? And that's it. And that's why, it's very difficult for us to, when we have conversations around hurts, around, abuse, around trauma, the kind of grief, when bad things happen to us, maybe you lose someone or bad things happen to good people, we say, where is God not? You get? Because we've been sold the idea that he is the orchestrator of everything. He's at the base of everything, the manipulator of everything. Therefore, no. So that concept of God choosing a spouse for you, that's I pray. I'm trying to sort out a private. I don't like the fact that generally, actually, religious people also think of marriage and settling down as a something to tick off their list. After you go to school, you graduate, you probably do a master's if you want to. Then the next thing is settling down. You start looking for their next available girl or look for the next available guy, to want to get to settle down with. So you think of marriage and relationships as something to tick off the box. Is that what they call it? Is that what they call it? To tick off your list, actually. Yes, to tick off your list. It's God's desire for you is to live life fully, right? To live life fully to the best that you can get, the best that you can have. I mean, yeah, they will give you the very, very best through the package of the gospel. That's going to be another discussion about that. What does the gospel really mean? We like to think of it as, but what does the gospel mean? The gospel is much more deeper and it's much more all encompassing than that. That will be a topic for another thing. However, you get what I'm saying. We think that where I was going to is that the concept of God's design, yes, that's where I'm coming from. God's design for you, God's will for your life is actually beyond just living under rules and regulations, under obligations and what I should not. No. You deserve to live life fully. You deserve to enjoy. So that concept of God choosing a spouse for you, in the sense that I prayed. It's time for me to try. It's time for me to settle down, or I'm trying to get my marital aspect of my relationship life sorted, and then I now pray God and say it's time affair. It's a time affair that is what? That is the will of God for you? Do you know it's time affair? Okay, so there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that in scriptures, right? In the Bible, in God's word, there's nothing that like I am the one that will choose a partner for you. You may want to argue, well, what about Adam and Eve? Those were the first set of people. Don't forget that. So where did the choosing come from? And bear in mind that the process by which Eve came to the earth through Adam's ribs, those are very deep processes that were just captured by physical, via the telling of the story. It's deeper than somebody came from the ribs. It's deeper than that. Than someone just came from the rooms and all of that. Okay. So God does not choose for you. I like the way it's not Pastor Laju, Aaron. There's a way she puts it. God does not choose for you, He chooses with you. Right? In the first place, as an argument, I like to argue that in the first place, there are more there are more girls than boys in the world. Okay, and if God wants to go by, if you want to go by that math, that God chooses His spouse for every boy, there's one girl that is out there for you that has been ordained, when she was being born in a script or in a book or whatever, they write it that this Shade is the girl for you. What now happens to the other girl? So when every girl has been assigned to one boy or has been predestined to be assigned to one boy, what happens to the other girls? What do you get? That's one. Two. What happens when someone dies? When one of them, if two people have been, if you say that they've been orchestrated, they've been preordained to be joined together, when one of them dies prematurely as a result of the war, as a result of the sickness, illness, accident, something happens unfortunate, and the person checks out the earth prematurely, what then happens to you, the other pair? What happens to the other pair? So what we have to work, go and look for. That was no, you should not be that kind of God. That's not a wise, that's not a wise God. You should not be that kind of God, you get. So there's nothing like that, as it were. Like I said, we have to understand what I kind of call the psychic makeup of a human being, or the energy field, your energy field. In physics, physics, we all, they what we call energy fields, right? I don't want to sound so spooky, vibrational frequencies. With every object, this camera that is looking at me, has an energy field around it, that it's a frequency at which it vibrates or it operates. You understand? This pen too, the very same thing, despite the fact that it's a non-living thing. If non-living things, if our energy fields are made up of, atomic particles, how much more humans who are sentient beings, okay? And so when it comes to a human being with all himself interacting with another human being, you understand the kind of factors that will now be at play. So it's primarily human relationship. Again, I'm just trying to establish the fact that human relationships are primarily human affairs. Yes, God is the judge and the big guy over everything, right? God is like it's not mediator, that's the word. Should we go to this part out? Oh my god. There's this word I'm looking for. It's not judge, somebody that's like a referee. Yes, God is like the referee, like thank you. Yes, God is like, an umpire over all forms of human affairs. Do you understand? But essentially, we have choices. We have what we call self-will. The ability to choose or truly to not choose certain things. The ability to walk or to not walk or to not walk certain paths. Okay? So I find the concept of that dating to marry because there's someone out there for you, or because there's someone that has been assigned to pre-assigned to you, it's quite wrong. At the worst, is that there is someone out there who is or has the potential to be the nearest in meaning. You know what we call synonyms? Something similar to you, something that is nearest in meaning. That when you look at the meaning of this word and meaning of this word, they are it has a 98 or 99% match. That's what happens with humans. And so we have how many billions of people out there in the world, right? Within the demographic of we are 1835, within that pool, there is a group of people, actually, not just one person, one, two or more people who would be nearest in meaning, as it were, to the kind of person that you're made up of, meaning, right? So in that call, I was able to, it was interesting to me, I was able to deduce that most likely why the energy of that girl dropped at some point was because this is two Christians trying to come together. She has that religious mindset of getting to marry her. So this guy is asking me out to marry. She wasn't seeing it as this guy likes me, this guy wants to be with me, this guy wants to get into a relationship with me primarily because he likes me, primarily because my essence, who I am, what I look like, brings him joy to the point where he feels that he cannot do without me. She saw it as this guy is asking me out because he wants to marry. You get? And so she has other suitors, other people. I think the person confirmed that she has other suitors that are also asking her out. She's in that season, and it was concerning to me that mindset was not going to be able to allow her to make the right choice. And I don't like the fact that there's that religious notion. At the end of the day, you realize that it's doing more harm than good to you because you're not going to be making the right choice based on the right metrics. Do you understand? Based on the right metrics. The right metrics ought to be, like I already mentioned earlier, does this person truly desire me? For me, do our values align? Is he a teachable person? Are they teachable people? The ability to bow, the ability to defer, to conform to superior truth. When truth hits them, are they easily do they easily accept the truth? Not just the truth. Do they easily bow to superior truth? Because knowledge is in layers, all right? And so when you're confronted with certain truth, especially about yourself, are you able to sit with it? We know those nitty gritties. But the church does not. It's a pity that the church does not look at relationships from these standpoints that I just mentioned, which is exactly how we should be looking at it primarily. We would like to think of it as one esoteric, and you see ministers, boasting about the fact that if they are not married, their wife, the ex that they were in a relationship with before, she's the one that's losing. That ex was not the plan of God. Let me just continue. This this is not the day to shake tables. Yes, not the day to shake tables. So again, I'm just trying to open you up to another perspective as to how to look at relationships primarily, because you need to be able to execute that duty of watching your steps in a relationship. Yes, because a lot of both on the male and female part, we see marriage as a destination, as a goal. You have a duty to ensure that you're watching your steps as you and that person get on a journey together. I'm not now saying that because of that you not get into a relationship without plan. That's the weak rebuttal we give to people like me who try to say, well, no, why not us look at this thing from different perspective? We say, so you should mean that I should not start dating without bearing, without compass, just dating, still dating, anything. Come on, you know smarter than that. Is that what we're saying? Anyways, you have a duty to get into a relationship. As you get into a relationship with someone, you have a duty to ensure that you're watching your steps. That means you are looking at the person. You are not comparing. You are evaluating. If there's a match, if compatibility grows instead of diminishing, right? But if you look at dating as a goal or as the destination, there's a way it clouds or it doesn't allow you to see clearly. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over again in different relationship dynamics. You have a duty to execute that. You have a duty to execute that duty of watching your steps, seeing if this person aligns with you. If you even need to, because relationship is a mirror, and getting into a relationship, it's a mirror. Yourself is mirrored back to you, actually. And so the important question is supposed to ask yourself. You would not do that because there's one notion that is sitting down in your mind that you now enter the marriage finish, that's that crime, and disturbing people with anonymous that your husband did this, you're not using you as storyline in the internet. Don't allow yourself to get to that point, all right? Because you cannot afford to allow yourself to be using the wrong metrics to judge. All right, to be using the wrong metrics to judge. What makes a good person is not the fact that they can sing or they have a good voice or they sound intelligent. That's not what makes a good person. What makes a good person, or what makes a person of substance? What makes them someone? What makes them a deep person? Someone of substance, someone that is worth it. Is what is in them, what is within them, and it takes a certain level of proximity, for you to interact with them at close level of proximities before you can see who they really are. And so it's not in the words they use. It's not in fact, it's not at surface level. It's not what they claim to believe. It's in what they actually believe by how they are doing life, how they live life, how they think about issues, what stands out to them. Many people can say, "Oh, I have value systems. I'm a person of integrity. I'm a person of I'm a person of depth. I'm a person of whatever. I mean, I'm a very honest person. Are they really honest? What would expose all of that is in how they, when it comes to real life situations, what their response is, how they think about it, what their action is when somebody does something to them, how do they react, how do they respond, how do they treat you, not what they say. But if you have, this, I find it's a very wicked notion. It's a wicked religious notion of, when you're not more seeing the person for what they are, you are seeing them as my future husband. I pity you. You're thinking of my future husband or my future wife. The red flags are supposed to be noting. And that red flags, I I have a theory that not all red flags are red flags just throw away. There's some red flag you can work on. That's why it's called a red flag in the first place. Red flag is something to note. Like, oh, this thing is standing out. You get so all these red flags, these things that are standing out that is doing pee, beware, beware. Note this. You would not be, or you misinterpret them again because your eyes, your sight has been beclouded by that goal. You understood? Yeah. So the when we get into relationships, we should aspire that it gets to that point where marriage is we are getting married. That's the desirable goal. It's the again what did I say? It is it's desirable. It's the recommended thing. It's the ideal thing. But does it always work out so? No. And you must be able to make peace with that. People change. Well, I have a problem with that statement. People change, but you understand, interests change. How they see the world, it changes over time. Their preferences changes over time. How do you want to be able to keep up with that, or be able to make sure that even as you yourself are changing, as they are changing, you guys are still getting interwoven together, regardless. That's what should be your priority, not anyways. This is point of mine. How am I going to confuse you that the love friends better than fried rice? Well, actually, please remove that. Remove that into marry nonsense, okay? You get you're dating tonight, and you think, yes, you don't think you're pleasing God. What is pleasing to God about that? You think you are doing God a favor. If you say kingdom marriage. You say kingdom marriage. You're doing please. You're not ready to please God. God is looking at you like, I mean, I've put so much in you. You are more intelligent than this. We should be acting like intelligent species that we are. Please. Bye bye. Thanks.